He was also first secretary, permanent mission to the United Nations, New York. He served as a diplomatic advisor to the Federal Chancellor Vienna from 2007 to 2009. Before coming to India, he was the ambassador to Portugal and Lisbon. Please welcome Mr. Rabetz. His Excellency, he also helped put together a program for our delegation to Austria, which many of us were there, and we thoroughly enjoyed being in Austria. Mr. Thori Ripson, he is the ambassador of Iceland to India with accreditation to Bangladesh, Malaysia, Maldives, Mauritius, Nepal, Seychelles, South Africa, and Sri Lanka. He is an MA in Political Science and International Relations from York University, Canada. In March 2008, he was appointed. From 2009 to 11, he served as an ambassador of Iceland to France with accreditation to Italy, Spain, and Andorra. From 2011 to 14, he served as an ambassador of Iceland to the European Union and to Belgium with accreditation to Luxembourg, Netherlands, Switzerland, and San Marino. Please welcome Mr. Ibsen. We had a fabulous trip to Iceland, and some of our members who went on the delegation are here. And I'm amazed that we are still reposting the memories every day. People still talk about it. It's a long time now. His Excellency, Mr. Lorenzo Angeloni, is the Italian ambassador to India and Nepal. Born in Perugia, he graduated in law from the University of Perugia. He is a law graduate and joined the diplomatic career in 1985. Since then, he has served as a diplomat in different countries of the world, like Montevideo, Uruguay, Germany, Algeria, Sudan, and Vietnam. He has many publications to his name. Please welcome him. Your Excellencies, Flo would be delighted to explore the possibilities of working jointly towards the common goal of women empowerment, an entrepreneurs exchange program with the goal of promoting women entrepreneurship. We could also use common modalities such as capacity building and skill development programs for women. Thank you. And I would thank you. I'll ask Saloni.
Thank you, Archana. Now I invite His Excellency, Mr. Bernhard Brauwitz, Ambassador of Austria, to share his views. Yes, no, you can speak from there.
Ladies, gentlemen, dear colleagues, thank you very much for inviting me today. It's a great honor. It's a great honor for two reasons. Number one, I'm very glad to share the Austrian experience with you, and have seen the title Best Practices. So that's an honor for Austria to be categorized as one of the best practice models in the field of empowerment of women in economic and social terms. So I'm very glad to perform that duty. I'm also very happy because you at least thought that the three of us were not some unreconstructed machos, who wouldn't be able to talk about women empowerment. And I take it as a personal credit, that we still have to earn. But we will do our best to convince you of that decision. Now, talking a little bit about the Austrian experience, I might like to start with three issues that are central to our policies, the government policies, in the promotion of women in economic and social terms. The Austrian policy is based on three pillars. First pillar, obviously, is security and safety of women. Because without security and safety of women, there is no economic participation, there is no social participation. And there we have made huge strides, positive strides, over the past 30 years or so. And that shows you a little bit also that it's a fairly young experience, that we're taking this issue so seriously that especially issues like domestic violence, rape within the house, protection of women against violent husbands, protection of women and children, like shelters and these things, have come about, like only during the last 30 years or so. The first legislation making criminal offenses, rape within the house, and domestic violence, are actually dating from 1997. Before that, it was not a separate crime; it was just dealt with as a common crime. So this is the first step. So make sure that women have the safety and security to develop positively in all other fields of society. The second pillar is health. Health is a central issue to all of us. In Austria, we are very proud of our health system, which is general and free. And there are, however, differences in access to health. And we found out only a few decades ago, that women have a harder time, to go to a doctor because of social restraints. They have a harder time to go to a doctor because most doctors still are men. They have a harder time to go to a doctor because medical staff is not trained to address particularly gender-sensitive issues, like reproductive health, sexual health. And over the past 3 or 4 decades, that has changed completely. Now we're fairly confident that no matter what your gender, you get the best health care that you can hope for free in Austria. There is a new challenge in Austria now in that particular field that is creating that awareness, that you can actually go to a doctor, without being ashamed of what you need to discuss, that you have free access to these doctors. That's the big migrant population that we have. That comes from countries where this is not the case, and we have now introduced special sensitizing courses for migrant women to kind of make them aware of their possibilities and options in the health sector. The third one, obviously, is the economic pillar: participation in the labor market, participation in the entrepreneurial world of Austria. We have had quite some successes in numbers. So now women participation in the labor market is around 70% now, which is a fairly good number. If you look at that number more carefully, however, you realize that it's not a fair distribution of jobs that women get in Austria. They're usually in the low-paid sectors, they're usually in the low-paid areas of the low-paid sectors, and the part of women who are working part-time by far exceeds the number of men working part-time. So we have 45% of women in the labor market are working part-time. With men, that number is not even 10%. So you can see a huge gap there, and that also explains a further negative number that I have to tell you. That is the gender pay gap that we have in Austria, that despite a huge participation in the labor market, the pay for women is roughly 20% lower than for men on an aggregate figure. It's not in each and every job, but in an aggregate figure. That is in good part explained by the fact that women work part-time in low-paid sectors. Now we're trying to correct this by making it easier to change from part-time to full-time. We're trying to make this easier to get out of another trap that we have created inadvertently by trying to be generous. That is our maternity leave regulations. In Austria, you can go on maternity leave, paid maternity leave for 2 years.
Wow.
That is
Great.
very, very generous, but it's a catastrophe for working women. right?
Wow.
Because reintegration in the labor market after 2 years is a real challenge. You lose your skills, like you can't catch up with the training that others get, and you simply lose career opportunities. So we're trying to take care of that unintended consequence of a otherwise good and generous idea by providing better childcare facilities and childcare institutions would allow women to return to the labor market much faster than they do now. Third measure that we have taken is to sensitize women and offer training and information about non-typical jobs. It's still the case that women go to certain sectors, certain jobs in Austria, and leave out others that are usually better paid, and they're usually in the technical fields. So the average 16-year-old Austrian wants to become a hairdresser. The female wants to become a hairdresser. The boy wants to become an auto mechanic. These are the two most popular professional choices that we have. And we're talking about 60% choices. Right? So it's not a small portion of the population. We're trying to break that tradition a little bit and interest girls more in the technical fields, in engineering, also at university. Like you have now more parity at university in economics, in law, in medicine, in the humanities, between men and women or students. In the technical disciplines like chemistry, engineering, machinery, etc., you have still a 90-10 ratio. So how to interest more women like to go into these fields, which are usually better paid and offer better career opportunities. We're struggling with that and trying to improve that. Last point I wanted to make is more in your sphere of experience, that is entrepreneurs and managers. And now, in the public sector and in public sector companies, we have instituted a quota, like in the management field and in the governing board field, that there have to be, now it is at 35%, like we're aiming at 50% quota over the next 10 years, like of women in senior management positions and in the governing boards. That is for the public sector owned companies. Private sector, we still only have a voluntary commitment of the industry to hire up to a third of senior management positions or reserve up to a third of senior management positions for women, and have a third of positions in the governing boards for women. We are far from that. Currently, we are at roughly 10%. I think every Austrian knows the 5 or 6 most famous female managers and industrialists in Austria by name. They're household names, they're role models, and they're fantastic, and they're mentioned for every job that is coming up in the Republic, like be it for president or for the company president or for minister or whatever. But it is a very small number of people. We have to increase that and make sure that we get to a more equitable distribution also in these upper echelons of income and ownership. With that, I have already exceeded my time.
No.
And,
it's okay, you can go ahead, no problem. It's very interesting to know what you're saying.
And, but I'm happy then, like in the Q&A session, to go into more detail on all the aspects that I had forgotten to mention up to now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency.